Morning YouTube, this is Chuck Reynolds with CNS Mining and Manufacturing in Arizona. And this video is about dry washing, some tips for better recovery. What you're seeing now is Cheryl, my wife, and she's working in a rivulet that we picked to work at Morristown area off some Roadrunner prospectors claims. It's really steep right here, and you can see how flat the dry washer is. And what she's doing, she's running quite a bit of material here to keep that tray flat on the bottom. This rivulet I just showed coming up the hill. A rivulet is just a real narrow washout area, but it washes it out and gets you right to where the gold should be. Had trouble with the motor, so as you can see, we dug a flat on the side of the hill to set that motor. That's something we've learned to do, rather than getting the dust in the motor and the motor keep falling over. So you just dig a flat on the side of the hill, and that's where it'll sit for you. As you can see, when she's working this material, she works it first up the grizzly, then back down. And I guess I did a close-up of the motor here to show you that flat spot for the motor. And it's real rocky here too. It's was a little bit of a hard place to work, but it ended up being pretty good. The color was pretty good, and the work wasn't too awful bad. Well, here you can see this up the rivulet a little ways where it's washed out and coming towards us, and we're going to work that area out also. Cheryl's just, you can just barely see the shovel here where she's scraping this material down, and we're going to end up vacuuming this so we get every little piece of it. And here you can see where we've been working. Nice material. It was really packed, hard packed material. And there you can see a little bit of the red iron staining in the ground, which is always a good sign. We don't pre-screen our stuff. We run right into the machine, watching for nuggets all the time, because Morristown area is noted for nuggets. We run our grizzly fairly flat like this, so if you're by yourself, you have to rake the gravel off, but the material stays there. You can work it through the grizzly if there's clods. So it's in an area like this, it works really, really well. She's holding down the leg on the dry washer frame. It wants to tip forward on her here. We just don't have enough material down on that foot yet, so she'll just keep working at and getting that down there. And that doesn't hurt, when you're working the material on top of the grizzly either. Just keep a foot on it. It's not going to hurt anything other than maybe your foot if you have a big rock in it. And that wasn't the nugget she just showed you. That was just a rock. See, there's where she's covering the foot with her tailings. Just scrape it up. I mean, it's there. You've already run it, so you might as well cover over that foot so it doesn't tip on you. And again, see how she's working the dirt up the grizzly. That way that lets most of the fines fall through, and you can see what you're working with there. As that glove goes up and pushes that dirt, it actually knocks some of the dust and dirt off it, so if there happens to be a nice nugget there, you'll be able to see it easier, because a lot of times the dirt is stuck on the gold and you can't see it. Well, this is our setup for vacuuming. We use the same blower that we use for the dry washer, and I've got a lid that's screwed to the blower and it sits right on the bucket and works really good. So that way I only have one piece of equipment to deal with. I don't have to have a separate vac motor and a separate dry washer motor. We've got this extension that concentrates the vacuum on it that works pretty well and gets you better into the cracks. You can see this caliche. It's just really hard white caliche here. It's material takes either a pick or a bent screwdriver that we showed how to make in another video to break this apart a little bit to get in between all those little cracks. Makes it much easier for the vac to work and to pull that material. And it'll get that just perfectly clean using that vac in that manner. And now she's pulled the nozzle off there to pull a little bit bigger material, just trying to move a lot more material. And doing it like this with the hose, you don't plug that little nozzle that goes on the end of it. Your suction's down a little bit, and I think you'll see here what she does. She's chipping in between all these clods and vacs up for a little bit. Then you'll see her lift the hose, and that just pushes that dirt manually back into your vac bucket, like right there. This sucks it up, and it'll try to hang up in the hose because it's heavy. And you know, these vacs aren't super powerful like a street vac when they do the potholes in a street. But you know, there's enough there to pull that material off the caliche, and then when she lifts the hose up, it gets sucked right into the bucket. And at times there'll be roots come across the area you're working, and just pull the root up with a pick and vacuum underneath it. You know, the gold will stick anywhere. And this little rivulet she's working in here was only probably 18 inches wide when we started. So we've gone up on the sides of it, and it didn't work real long on this. I can't remember if it was a half a day or something, maybe just really easy work. And that's the way to get all the gold out of this caliche, just what she's doing. Scrape it a little bit, vacuum a little bit, keep scraping and vacuuming. And anything that was stuck in there, we're pulling it out. You can see the red tinge to this material also. It's got a little bit of iron in it. The caliche got pretty clean down there. And this is some of the places we're heading to get this rock out of here. Now she's just dumping her vac material into the dry washer. That's what makes it nice just using the one. You just pull the motor off the vac bucket, hook it back up to the dry washer, and just pour it in. You know, let her run. And look how flat we're running here. That's another big thing. Most people run their dry washer way too steep. When you run it steep, you have a tendency to run the gold off the end of it if you run it steep. If you're catching the little gold and there's big gold, you're going to catch the big gold if you catch the little stuff. And the flatter you can run it, the better off you are, unless you're getting a huge buildup at the upper end. And obviously you can see here she's not, but that little slick plate where your material drops, if you can stay, just let it build up for a little bit for a second as the machine's shaking and work down. And we run into a damp spot here, which she's doing. We do this a lot. If it gets a little damp, we'll set a gold pan down there, run the material into it, and as it fills up there, we have another one, and we dump it and run it through. So you just keep recycling to dry your dirt off so you don't lose any gold. We've been doing that for years. We can either do it that way, or we'll let it run off into a shovel and just shovel back through. And that really helps when your dirt is damp, like it's been this year. It's been actually been wet, but you can still run it. There's just those tricks to doing it. Just rerunning it with a gold pan or a shovel, or some people use a tarp. I don't like to do that. It takes too long to lay it out in the sun and let it dry. But this way it's faster, and your recovery is actually really pretty good. This, I believe, is the bottom of the hole, or the edge of the wash. I think we had a centipede running around down here is what this was. We had to shovel up a big old centipede from underneath the rocks, and he was running around down there by our feet. I don't know about you, but I can't seem to find him now. I don't see where he went. You have to take my word for it. He was there, but he's not now. I don't know where he went. So we're about down here. This is a little 11-inch pan. It's an 1849 gold pan. I got that from Joby years ago, and we have these 11-inch pans. We have 3 or 4 of them, and we just use them. We like them better in the desert because of the lack of water, and you don't get as much concentrate as you do with the dredge. So this is what we use, and this is obviously it has nice ripples in it, by the way. They're not too bad. And this is what we got there. We recovered some really nice gold. And thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. This is a cleanup from my last one, and where the motor was making too much noise for you to hear what we were saying. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up and a comment.